Lovely Thursday, and we are back right here on Ubuntu channel on your favorite Pansa, where we look at different social issues and to build our families, homes. We are having an interesting topic. We are looking at matrimonial properties, and we are looking at cases of divorce and death. Now, as usual, we do have our in-house counselor, no other than Evangelist Shaabula. Good evening, Evangelist.
Good evening, CJ. Good evening, Caroline. Good evening, Emmanuel, Himba, Abia. I wish you a quick recovery. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Evangelist. Good evening, Caroline, and welcome to Ubuntu channel.
Okay, good evening, CJ. Good evening, Evangelist. Good evening, everyone in the studio.
Thank you very much. Yeah, Mr. Abia today is not with us, as in the studio, but he's watching. We hope him a quick recovery, just as Evangelist has said. You know, this flu seems to be touching everyone here and there. So people out there, keep yourselves safe.
Mhm.
Death. So, Evangelist, properties.
Hello?
People get to understand what. Can you hear me?
You are. No, no, no. No.
Wow. Okay. Connectivity issues. How about now?
Yes.
Able to get you.
You can hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So, I was saying, as we are getting started, please give a definition. Mupandulure kuti matrimonial properties. Chihi.
Okay. Thank you so much, CJ. The topic we have tonight is a very, very important topic because it concerns everyone everywhere. Because it concerns everyone everywhere, it is everyone's concern everywhere. Now we are looking at the matrimonial property. I'll get to these two words. One is matrimonial. Now, when we talk of matrimonial, we are talking about the marriage, husband and wife living together, doing things together. Now, when we say property, we are talking about the things that have been acquired as a result of the two people living together, two people working together, husband, wifey, going out, sweating, and then they acquire property. In other words, we are talking about the property that is shared between husband and wife, property which is acquired during the life of that marriage, property that was earned as a result of the effort of the two people, the husband and wife working together, and then they produced that wealth, that property. So in other words, we are looking at a property which was accumulated by two people that lived together under one roof as husband and wife. Now, matrimonial property is also property that can be shared in the event of death and in the event of divorce. So this is the property that is shared between husband and wife during the time of their divorce, and also the time of death. When one spouse is dead, then the living will actually inherit a part of the property that was left behind by the deceased person. So this is what we are talking about. And because of this, it affects everyone everywhere. And so it is everyone everywhere's concern. This is what we are looking at, CJ, this evening. Hello? Hello? CJ? Caroline? Caroline?
Hello?
Yes, the network is a problem. So I'm sure
But
CJ is, yes. I think maybe if you
I'm
want to
able
say
to get you.
something, please go. Yes, go ahead if you want to say anything or add on to what I've said or subtract
Okay.
while we wait for the gentleman to find his feet.
Okay. Like today's topic, we are talking about death and divorce, property grabbing. Um, when we talk about property sharing and all that, I think also divorce is also a grief process where it's equally the same. It's also a grief process where uh, things acquired together needs to be shared the same as after losing the loved one. Um, hello?
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. So um, this is the stage where like I would talk more on after divorce. This is where more like there are a lot of emotions going on. There's drained and overwhelmed between the two people, and they need to share the property. Hello?
Yes, we are
Yeah,
listening. Just go ahead. Just go ahead.
yeah. So they need to share the property because divorce is when the court has ruled and have granted the divorce certificate. It's where the court has even like um ended the marriage and have given the divorce certificate. It has been granted to both the two parties. So the court will actually sometimes share the properties if they are put in paper, like on paper to say this is what we have, and sometimes the court will share the properties, but sometimes the court will say um, go and sit down and share the properties. So if there are children involved, this is the time now, even like who's custody of the children, who goes with the children, and how our properties share. Most of the time, you'll find that maybe the one who goes with the children will be maybe given a house and all that. And there are times that if there's no property, if there's no house, for example, and whatever is there will be taught to share equally. I think that's what I can say about after divorce sharing property.
Yes, just as Caroline put it, I want to dwell, before we talk about death, let's talk about divorce. Now, what is divorce? To divorce is to detach from a relationship, from an arrangement, from an agreement. It means that these two people who once loved each other and lived together and did things together in terms of business, life at home, and working together and planning together, they no longer live together under one roof. And so they decide to go separate ways because of some hardships or some problems that has arisen in their relationship. And because, they cannot stay together, it becomes difficult that they cannot work together. Then one of them decides to go to court. When they go to court, depending on how they got married, there's what they call the customary marriage, or what you call the traditional marriage. That's the customary marriage. Or you've got what is called the statutory marriage. This statutory marriage is the marriage that is acquired at the Boma in Zambia. Mukerebai. For us, it is at the Boma because we still have a Boma. So, and the means of local government, on behalf of High Court, we will actually marry you. In other words, they will officiate at your wedding and give you the certificate, when you get married. So that is at the time you get married. But when you divorce and you've got that document called the divorce certificate, you want to divorce, then you are expected to go to the High Court of Zambia. That is because you married under the statutory arrangement. And then if it is customary, as I said, customary or traditional, you go to the local court, whichever court you go to, still at the end of the day, when the marriage is dissolved, when I say dissolved, it means that when the marriage is irretrievable, it can't be brought together, it can't be sustained, it can't stand. They give you time to work out something for your marriage, and still you can't find a good reason for you to get back together and work together. That's when you can go to the High Court or local court and then tell them, give reasons why you want to divorce that person. And then from there, you'll be cross-examined. You cross-examine, each other. You ask each other questions, and the court will ask you reasons why you want to go separate ways. And in most cases, they will not force you. They will ask you what you want. If you want a divorce, then you say, no, for us, it's a divorce. We do not want to reconcile. So after they've given you a period of consideration and you still stand, on the same motion or decision that you should divorce, then the court will give you what is called a divorce certificate. A divorce certificate is a certificate of separation to show that you are no longer husband and wife and you can go separate ways. Now, when you get to that level, there are certain things that the court will consider. One, they will consider the children that you have in that marriage. Do you have children? How many are they? What is their sex? That is the boys and the girls. How long have you been married? And what properties have you acquired in the life of your marriage? Then they will want to find out whether your wife or husband contributed anything to that. Sometimes it is buildings or houses. They may ask you for receipts. Do you have receipts to prove what you are saying that you actually contributed? Now, please understand me, dear friends. Contributing to the building or to the house or to the property is not always through the receipt. It can be that you were just a housewife, and as a housewife, you contributed through the activities at home, in your home. You were cooking for that gentleman. You were ironing. You were sleeping, having sex with that gentleman. And you had children through that lady. She did not go to the office. She did not go to the market, but she was taking care of your children. That will also be deemed as work. She worked, she contributed, and therefore she has got a share in the property that was acquired during the life of your marriage. Now, when it comes to sharing, she will be considered. The children will be considered. And you, the husband, you will also be considered. In other words, there will be three people that will be considered. It will be, number one, all the time, it will be the children, if there are children. Number two, it is the divorced person that is kicked out of that marriage. Then from there, it is the husband or the wife that has divorced. These are the people that will get a share in what is happening. Now, the children will get a bigger share because of their age. If they are small children, very small, even their share will be bigger because they've got a long way to go in their school, in their education. And so, for example, I'll give an example. If in this marriage, there are three houses, you had three properties, the court may decide, I'm using the word may decide, the court may decide to give one house to the gentleman himself who is divorcing, or the lady who is divorcing the husband. They will give him or her a property. The other property will go to the children, and the other one will go to the divorced person. That is how they will share. And then they will look at the money, the bank account. The bank account, they will look at the 50% goes to the children. The 20% will still go to the husband. And then the 20% will go to the wife who is being divorced. And sometimes they will also give her that 10% that remains. I'm talking about money. I'm not talking about death. Because the same application, the same formula in terms of money is what is used also when there's death. But when it comes to property, they do not use 50%, 20%, whatever it is. No, they will just say this number of property will go to the children or the wife. They may actually give more to the wife or to the husband who is being divorced. Because you who is divorcing, you are ready for it. The other person is not ready for it. So that is what happens with the property. If it is animals, if it is under customary law, the wife will be given animals. But in most cases, she may not take more than the husband. Or the lady may not take or the gentleman may not take more than the lady that has divorced him. In other words, the divorced person will not get as much as the person that is divorcing. That is, in most cases, that is what happens under customary law or traditional marriage. That is what happens in terms of property that is shared. That is how it is done. Now, let me get back to death. In the event of death, somebody dies. When somebody dies, there are two things that will be done. After that person is dead, the family will have to choose an administrator. An administrator's responsibility is to account for all the property, to collect the property, put them in one place, and then from there do the following. What is the following? The following is to collect all the monies, all the properties, all the animals which people owed the deceased person. Which people owed the deceased person. This administrator is going to collect all the properties and all the money. And then from there, share that money or that property or the animals to the people who deserve it. Number two, also the administrator will have to pay out the monies which the deceased person owed the people before he died. So where does this money come from? It will come from the assets or the estate of the deceased person. And then he has got to have a record of what he has paid out. Now, if that person has died intestate, they'll find out whether that person died intestate or testate. It means that intestate means that somebody has died without a will. When there is no will, the court will decide on behalf of the deceased person. But when there is a will, the will be read out by the court, and the things will be shared according to the will of the deceased. What is a will? A will is a desire, a wish of how the property should be shared when one is dead. That is a will. Now, this will is not supposed to be kept by the beneficiaries. The will should be deposited at the High Court or by the bank or by the lawyer or by the church or by another person that is respected in society. He keeps it. And when this person is dead, this person should be able to go to the family and say, actually, I've got a will that should be read. Now, that will should be the correct will, the right will, because it may not just be one copy, there might be another copy elsewhere. So they will compare what is there and be able to come up to say, this is what it is. If it is the church, you go to the church will give you that will and read out the will to say, this is how this gentleman desired. And these are the instructions of how the property should be shared. Now, when the property is shared through the will, in most cases, people will follow the will of the deceased person. If he says you are just going to get a hoy, it is the hoy that you are going to get. You will not get anything because the owner of the property has not mentioned the A, B, C, D. Now, I want to say that if the children are not properly, listen to me, if the children are not properly given things in the correct way, they have not benefited from their father. Even if there's a will or the father gave certain properties to one person, got more than other children, they can challenge the will. They can challenge the will through the High Court to say that the will was unfairly drafted or written. because I am the biological child and I'm underage, I'm at school, I need to get A, B, C, D for me to complete my school. So what I'm saying is that this will should not stand in court. Then the lawyers will look at it, and then the judge will either agree or disagree. It's not all the time that when you sue somebody to court over property, then you who are sued, either you are a widower or a widow or a son or a daughter, that you are going to win. No, you may not win because they want to respect the will of the deceased person. But if it conflicts with your rights as a child, because as a child you are supposed to benefit something from your father's property, then it can be challenged. So that is about the property in terms of death and property in terms of divorce. Let me take a rest as the other people come in. I was looking at time. I thought let's cover that. Then from there we can invite contributions by from other friends. Caroline is there. I've seen this Roseman is also there. Mukereba is there, and then I've got our boss CJ, and I'm sure there are many others that want to contribute. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Evangelist. Viewers, apologies for these technology glitches that I'm having. Hope everything runs smoothly. Welcome. It's been a long time. Great to have you on the program.
Good evening, CJ. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Just get straight
This man,
into it.
if you let that evangelist to talk, this man can talk the whole day. That's why he's not called evangelist for nothing.
But yeah. Womkelawai, please get right into it. Make your submissions as well.
What I can say, I'll just draw back to issue divorce, that we should never allow couples that are in love to resort to divorce whenever they have a misunderstanding. Let us try to teach our people to love each other and continue resolving matters. In Bemba, this Chibemba Chiramolanda, ati nemiti nga naikumana so yechira chitashani irakwesana. So imiti nasho shirakwesana. If imiti shirakwesana, what about human beings? So conflicts, misunderstandings are always there. But at the end of the day, it is the love that you have for each other that matters. So let us not encourage people to go for divorces, and except when, of course, when they're in an abusive relationship. That's when you can maybe not even divorce them, but you can allow a couple to go on separation so that they go and find themselves. So when they come back, they have either they have been rehabilitated. Nomba problem twakwata mu Zambia nili yakutira ati muri apa separation ero nomba waya mukusamwa nomba kulya kumbi wambo kufaya bambi, especially mwe batonga, you go and start finding another woman that you are in a rehabilitation. So when a couple has been in a friction relationship, it is important to take a break. Not taking a break to go and start entertaining other people, but take a break to go and reflect. Think about even missing. You even start missing the arguments. You know, when you go separately, you can actually start missing the arguments, the fights, because you are meant to be together. So we should encourage couples to go for either counseling or take time out, go relax somewhere. You can even get your nga mwali baba kashana munganda mweka once and my sisters nama brother mwayako for some outing, if you're where you can stay for a day or two, or you take your brothers and mwayako for a day or two. Those things, when you go for a while and then you start missing one another, that's when you realize that your partner really means something to you in your life. And when you get back, the love is so strong and you spark because you have done something. It is just in human nature. That's what I can say on that
Right.
aspect.
Thank you, Vom Kilawai. I'm going to ask a few questions just to clarify on some of the items that Evangelist and as well as Caroline asked. But viewers, please, we would like to interact with you. Like we always say on this program, this platform is meant for everyone. It's meant for you so that you can ask those questions, you can make those contributions, and together we can sharpen each other, we can build better homes and a better society. This is Ubuntu channel. Now, if you'd like to make a call, please, you can do it on 0972 959608. The number is 0972 959608. The number is scrolling there. Please drop a comment through the comment section, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube, and we'll be glad just to read it so that we can interact with you. Now, Evangelist, in terms of matrimonial property, if say a couple both are working, and then each one buys property and they put it in their name. For example, the wife buys a house and it's in the wife's name. The husband buys a house, it's in the husband's name. How is that considered?
In the first, that is a very funny marriage. It is a funny marriage. It is.
These things are happening, Evangelist.
Yes, it's true. Very, very true. Very, very true. Because already, you know, from the word go, you can see that this is a weak marriage, which will end into divorce. When they begin buying and putting signatures on their deep freeze that this is Herbert, this is deep freezer, and this is the Caroline, is Mercedes-Benz car, things like that. That can be a problem. It can be a source of a problem. This one writes, this is CJ, and this is Himba. It's a problem. Now, the court, when it comes to sharing by the court will want to have a document called the marriage certificate. Do they have? There is no marriage certificate because their properties are in their names. But if there is a marriage certificate and they've got property in their individual names, still the court will be able to share that property. They may decide each one will have their own property, but the court will be interested in the children. The property of this man should go to the children. The property of this one should also go to the children, of the lady should go to the children. So the children will benefit more because they have to get the property from two people. And these other people, and the two will remain with just a bit. So in other words, what I'm saying, when two people have got property, but they use different names, their surnames, and they've got a marriage certificate, the children will get more from these two, especially, you know, when they are young. When they are old, not much, but when they are young and they're school going, the court will decide to give them more. Now, as I said, when there is no marriage certificate and they are using two different names, these people are not married. They are not. They are just living together. They are not married. Because if they were married, at least they would get at least a marriage certificate, or they may share the surname. If there's no sharing of the surname and there's no marriage certificate, then they're not married. Vana kuchita chabe uchende chabe uhule chabe munyumba yao.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. I have a follow-up question on that one.
Yes.
But I'll also, yeah, I'll need Caroline to also chip in on this one. You know, there are couples, okay, who they are married, they have certificate. Wanapita kuchechi na civic center, okay? But then in their home, they do have issues. Maybe there's infidelity and the like. And then you find a partner is saying, ine vintu vonse venenigula nivifaka mzina y'abaana, in case nafa uyu mwamuna azakwatira muntu winango ero winango akachita enjoy vintu venasebenzera, or vice versa. So in cases where couples are buying property in children's name, in the case of divorce, how is that handled, that property? In case of death as well, how is that property handled? Let me start with Caroline before Evangelist comes in.
Okay, thank you, CJ. When two people are coming together, there is no thought of divorce in their mind. They are coming in to enter into a long life partner with the other person, because there's so much love and there's no thought of divorce to say tomorrow we'll be divorced or this will come between us. So as you enter in marriage with that mindset, or the concept to say, in case this person, in case that, I think then you are coming in with very wrong motives as you starting your marriage, because no one knows, no one thinks of divorce as you are starting a life together with the other person. So everything that you start doing everything together as a couple. There's so much oneness. That's why even in the beginning, as we talked about the red flags and all that, as you are getting into marriage, it starts there. If two people begin to do things in separate ways, like this person, I'm doing this for me, I'm doing this for in case this happens, then you are coming in with so much wrong motive. Um, so just those thoughts of I need to do this in case the other person does that. Those are also indications that this marriage is not standing strong. It's not even like built on a proper foundation, because uh, there's so much like there's no oneness in there. As Evangelist said to say, I think you are just living together. You are not married. Married as one, one, as a couple, because even the Bible says the two shall become one. Even your thinking, your planning, and everything, because that's when we say when the two couple divorce, it's it's more like the death. The death occurs like it's 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 almost like death. There's death of plans, death of dreams, okay, death of a life that you planned together as a couple. So when you start planning to say, I need to buy a stove, putting in my name, my child's name, because in case tomorrow this happens, then there's that marriage from the beginning. From the beginning, it's not uh, really a solid or proper marriage, because when you're entering into marriage, there's so much like
Madam
planning.
Caroline, if you can speak up, you're a bit faint. I'm not able to hear you clearly.
Okay, I hope you'll be able to hear. Hello?
Uh-huh.
Yes, so I'm saying to
Yes,
say
yes, I
that,
can hear you now.
yes, divorce itself, it's grief. It's a grief. It's divorce grief. It's real, okay? Because there's death actually that has occurred. Because what is this death? It's the death in dreams. You had dreams together. You had plans together. So when
Mhm,
divorce happens, it actually brings a lot of pain. So it's grief itself. So there was no planning to say after we are going to divorce that we need to share property. Okay.
mhm.
So this couple who start planning before they divorce, it means this marriage was not starting from the beginning. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, it's not even like real marriage, because you don't plan to, as you enter in marriage, you don't plan to say this thing is going to end. Okay. So they're just like eventualities happen as you wait there. In fact, as Mukeleva, I think even like what I heard from Mukeleva is said to say, let's not plan to divorce. I think
Mm,
let's not encourage divorce. I think for people to get to the level of divorce, they have tried a lot of things. They have tried to
mhm.
make this marriage work. They have tried to work it
Yeah.
together to say, yeah, to build it so that it doesn't uh, uh, break, end. So if there's a
And
crack in this marriage, as you say, what is this crack? The same way, like you are saying to say, you have so many, like in case this happens, because that's a crack in that
mm,
marriage. Because eventually the
mhm.
house will break. Yeah, eventually the house will break because
Right.
no one plans. Yeah, no one plans to say,
Mm,
uh, as I get into this case, something happens. Everyone tries to build it until it works, until you build, you have dreams, you have plans, you get to have children. Because if you knew to say, I'm going to divorce, I don't think you can have children in this marriage. Because the people that gets affected, it's the children. There are three people actually, okay? You
yeah.
as a couple, the two of you as a couple, yes, the two of you as a couple, the children, and God Himself gets affected. That's why God says, I hate divorce, because He doesn't hate the divorcee. He hates the what happens after divorce. It's the pain that both of you
Mhm.
go through. That's what God hates.
Mm.
So
Wow.
no one plans. So if this couple who are coming together planning to say, I need to buy property in case the other person misbehaves, then this form actually from the beginning, it's um, it's not standing strong. That's what I get. You need to
Okay.
plan.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, Caroline. Have you concluded?
Hello. Oh, okay. In my
Hello.
conclusion, hello. In my conclusion, I'll say In case,
Yeah.
in my conclusion, people will
Mhm.
try to work out their marriage, but there are moments that when they are coming to conclusion to divorce, it means maybe for 5, 10 years, 7 years, they've been trying to work it out. No divorce will just come
Okay.
immediately. Yeah, that's what I can say. No divorce will just come then. So as a conclusion, you'll find to say they've tried everything and they feel if they, more especially when there's violence, there's uh, hating of each other, because when we look in the Bible also, the Pharisees asked Jesus to say, why did Moses permit divorce? And when you hear the response of Jesus, Jesus said, Moses allowed the divorce because of the hardness of your heart. So what really
Yeah. Okay.
leads to divorce is the hardness of your heart, where you really become animals towards each other. You start hating
Mhm.
each other. So by doing so, you find that it's best that one go their way, the other way go their way. When there are children involved, it's better the children are able to see both of you happy. They see the father, they see the mother happy, than seeing maybe
Right.
one dies and the children remains without any person
With-
to depend on.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, thank you for that submission. Evangelist, I'm throwing the same question to you. Hmm. Situations where couples are buying property and putting in children's name in case nafa azakwatira winango.
Yeah, CJ, this is a funny question because it's a funny situation. You know what you are saying. You are talking about two people that have fallen in love.
Mm,
They want to get married, but they are not sure that this marriage will stand. From the word go,
okay.
they are getting into the marriage with a lot of questions, and that's why they will decide, no, let me buy property and put it in the name of my children in case the other person misbehaves. In other words, you are a boxer, you get into the ring and you are already defeated. You are you are you are writing an exam. Before you get into the exam room, already you have failed already. You can't write anything. I think Karen has said something which has touched my heart, which I agree with her. If you know that the other person will misbehave and you will not, your marriage will not stay, why should you plan to have children? Why should you bring up children who are going to be on their own? Then you are worse than the devil, because the children need guidance. CJ, children need guidance
Yes.
from both the parents, from the father and from the mother. They need to be guided. They need to be loved. They want to be disciplined by father and mother. Now you,
Yeah.
as husband or wife already, you start choosing. No, I think this wardrobe is going to be for Martha. Ah, no, I think this car of mine, it will be for my son John. What kind of life is that? Now, in other words, what I'm
So
saying is that yes, that actually is very, very true. CJ, it happens. What you have said, it happens right now. Maybe even somebody's listening who is doing the same. To me, when you begin to do that, you have already planned to fail in your marriage. And therefore, you should not have children, because you are going to have children who are going to be vagabonds. you are going to raise junks. So the issue here is that such a thing should not happen. Now, suppose such a thing happened, how should the court handle it? The issue, again, it goes back to, they have to find out, did these people have a marriage certificate which put them together? So the marriage certificate is what will help the judge or the magistrate or the court president to find a solution, to find a way of sharing. If there is a marriage certificate, even if this property is in different names of these people, they may say, what about the property for yourself? You have to explain. How are you living? You know, they will see that there is a crookedness in this marriage. So the court may rearrange your decision and be able to do the correct thing. Thank you.
All right. Yeah. Thank you for that one.
Yes.
So now, yeah, I've heard you, Evangelist. You've mentioned about a marriage certificate. In the event that there's no marriage certificate, and I also want you to touch on the traditional side, okay? In our way, okay? How are such situations handled?
Thank you so much. What I said is that, you know, only marriages that are contracted at the Boma under the council on behalf of the High Court will issue a marriage certificate under the statutory act, meaning that nichite ni lamulo ya ku High Court wakwatira mulamulo ya ku High Court. Lamulo ya ku High Court ikamba one wife, one man. One wife, one man. Not one man, two wives, or three wives, or 38 wives. No. Or a woman says one woman, then two husbands, four husbands, then 37 husbands. No, not at all. It is one man, one wife. That is the statutory marriage, Yaku High Court. And two, when you divorce, they will not grant you divorce certificate there and then. They will give you at least minimum of 2 years for you to go and think about it or to reconcile. So they will give you 2 years in which to work out your marriage. That is the statutory marriage. Manje, traditional marriage or customary marriage. Mwakwati ana customary marriage. And now you decide to divorce. The customary law will apply depending which tribe you come from and which region you come from. I'll give you an example of Southern Province. If you come from Southern Province, you are Tonga, you are Ila. Those are the two that are there. There is what they call ingombe shamujimusho. Those ngombe vinanyamuka ngombe vijamene bame napasa utiyochoke munyumba uende kuja vija bame na kupika mati yanshima vija bame na kupikira nsima vija ngombe vija ngamukasia na chabe. They will not return. They will not give them to the husband. Bazakuza tu mukazi huyu babemu nakuatia nome na kupika nsima anakupia nsima. So ngombe zili 4 easy, they will remain. So those 4 you not touch, they will remain. Then from there kuli ngombe zabana futi Maybe they will say again 4 nizabana. So this one also you will not claim back, because that will represent the children, that you are the husband, you are the father to the children. So that will also not go, will not be given to you as a husband. Now, if it's the lady that has divorced, it means that ijangombe zinakuenda kuti zibwerere zija. Sometimes zingabwerere. Sometimes zingabwerere. Because you are many wakana mamona. You have decided, you don't need the gentleman. Why should you keep the animals? So, in other words, the law, the traditional law, applies in that case. Whether muliba mambwe, or muliba namnganga, or muliba bisa, or muliba bemba. If you are bembas, or babisa, whatever it is, it will apply. Ngati muliba lubale, muliba mbunda, muliba kaluchazi, muliba kachokwe, muliba balozi, muliba bakwangwa, masubia, the same law. Yakwanu kome kutribal, that's what you apply. Ngati muliba Eastern Province, around the country, ya Zambia, the laws of your tribe is what will prevail at that time. But there are certain times, let me add, so there are certain times when the court can use discretion. Discretion. What is discretion? Discretion, they will look at the situation and the condition of the other person who is losing out, maybe who has been divorced. They will look at that person, what that divorce means. If this person is divorced, what will happen to that person? So the court may give something to that person to ameliorate, in other ways, to help, to relieve her of those problems that the person will go through, so that the burden is lightened. The court may use discretion.
Okay, so just a rider on that one. So in terms of properties, okay, under customary marriage, if say people didn't get a certificate, okay, then this person has got several houses. How is that handled in per customary level? Is there a rule of thumb or what?
Under customary law, there's no certificate that is given. I'm talking about customary law. But even then, the modern custom here in town, there are certificates which you get from the local court. In the villages, in most cases, they are not there. What is there is, they will say, did you pay lobola? If you paid lobola, then that is marriage. The issue here is not the paper. It is the lobola which you paid. Una lobola. That is what is important. And in fact, in most cases, lobola is you are paying for the children there. So that is what is there. So you may not have the document, but the two families, they will be able to confirm, to say, actually, this gentleman paid lobola and which is the bride price. He paid bride price, so he's the legal husband to this lady. So when there is a lot of property, or maybe 5 properties or 3 houses, it will depend. In most cases, it is the discretion of the husband who will say, okay, I'll give you 1 house. Sometimes nothing is given. Under customary law, it's a problem. It's a problem.
Okay.
So you may get, you may not get, depending on the grounds for divorce. Ngati bakugwira chigololo, you may not get anything. You are fired without terminal benefit.
Mr. Abia has written something. Let me just read it out. He says, if one begin to misbehave, then one is wise enough to protect the property. We can use our children name. I have no problem with that. Yeah. You've heard that one. That
Well,
if one misbehave. Yeah. Okay.
well, we don't want people to start misbehaving.
Now, in terms of matrimonial property, I've heard of cases where, for example, a husband passes away, leaves a house, the wife is there, okay, there are also children. Is it true that a wife is permitted to have a girlfriend in that, a boyfriend in that house, but not to marry in that house? Once she marries, then she has to leave the house. Is that a correct position? What actually is supposed to happen in such cases?
It is true. It is true. You know, the law sometimes can be unfair. It can be unfair. There are certain times when a lady is given property, inherited property from the late husband, and when she decides to marry, she will lose certain properties. For example, like a house, she will lose that house because she has gone to be married, you know, to somebody. So in most cases, she will lose that house. But a man may marry another lady, and the property will still be his. That is how bad it is. Very, very unfair. Very unfair. Very unfair. Very unfair.
Yeah.
So that is why the most important thing, you know, to protect the wife, you know, TJ, before you die, it's better that you give your wife that property, that this is yours. And then later on, start working out, you know, some title deeds so that the lady can have it as hers. This thing of giving a wife as if she will start pleading at Kanyumba. And then when she brings somebody to entertain her at, you know, Choka Munyumba, you can't do that. In the meantime, the same thing happens to another man. He's given a house, Yamukazi. He inherits a house that was the wife is, and then from there he decides to bring in a girlfriend, and then decides to marry that girlfriend. The law will allow that gentleman to stay in that house. But mukazi wamuchosa tichoka iwe wachitabuhule. It's very unkind. Very, very bad. Very, very. It's not balanced. I don't like that law.
It's a bad one. Okay, so now we're getting into the dying minutes of our program, and I'll start with Vom Kelewai. Please give your concluding remarks, even as we are concluding the program. Vom Kelewai.
I was not talking much, so what am I going to conclude when I was not given time to participate? I was just listening.
A lot of things have been said. So Kunkankare,
yeah, but not by
some...
me. But anyway, it has been a good topic, and I think people, your listeners, have listened. The only thing I would suggest, I would say, is that people should learn to differentiate the two, divorce and death. We have to apply these principles differently. When someone dies, intestate or tested, you have to leave, either when you die leaving a will, you will explain how your property needs to be distributed. to the beneficiaries. And when you die intestate, meaning dying without leaving a will, which most of us die without even thinking of writing a will, then we have the law, the Intestate Succession Act, that tabulates how properties are supposed to be distributed. At the same time, how the beneficiaries are supposed to benefit. And I believe each and everyone today, they understand. If you read the law, you understand the distribution, the percentage that are distributed to those beneficiaries. And the beneficiaries also are explained who the beneficiaries are, not waenda wachoka kuja na ndevu zako na mimba ati iyai me am a dependent. There are categories that a dependent supposed to who a dependent is and who a child is. And mostly the youngest child in a household gets the biggest share than the eldest child, son or to the deceased, or daughter to the deceased, gets less. And when it comes to divorce, this is where now divorce, you look at the properties that you own in common, or rather the properties that you acquired whilst living together, and that is the property that is going to be treated as matrimonial property, and that is going to be distributed equitably. And there's nothing like just because the name on the property is on the husband or the name of property is the wife, for as long as you are both. Yes.
Sorry to interrupt.
Now you are cutting me short. Yes.
I'm not cutting you short. There's a question that I need you to also tackle as we will be concluding. This question, I'll pass it round. In the event that your partner starts misbehaving, okay, how can you protect yourself in terms of properties? Okay, how can you protect yourself and the children? So please answer that one, be brief, so that I can also pass it on to the other panelists.
In an event where your partner is misbehaving, how can you protect your properties? What do you mean you protect your properties? The both of you own the properties. And the children, if there are children involved, as a family. And when that partner misbehaves, and then that misbehavior leads to a divorce or separation, then the law will not side whether the person was misbehaving or not. The law is clear that properties of a couple that lives together, that are married legally, will be equitably shared in terms of divorce. And when it comes to, unlike when it is death is something else. The law that applies after death or in somebody amfwa, it's something different from divorce. So let's not mix the two. Divorce, yes. You mess up, that's you deciding to mess up, then you go, then the law will simply won't recognize you're messing up. But mostly when you go to court and the court pronounces, they always look at the person that has caused the relationship to end. If you are the causer, mostly the punishment that is given by the judge is that the causer of the relationship that has broken down should pay a little price. So that's why you find that the judge may even decide that you lose this, and you should be paying maintenance to your partner until such a time when that partner finds herself or himself another partner. So there are certain rules like that that's justice, because you want to put someone in a position that he was before you started misbehaving. So that is how equitable justice distribution should be. distributed to make it fair. Otherwise, people should just understand. Let them read the law and make consultations with the legal practitioners, the lawyers, the civic people that are involved in this. And please, Zambians, it is important to read. You know, you go on Facebook,
Right.
you like talking about politics, but also read. We have the laws are there. Yes.
Thank you, Mkelebai.
Balumbaka Patrick.
Thank you, Mkelebai. Caroline, please come in. Also handle the question that I had asked. In the event that a partner starts misbehaving,
Okay.
seriously misbehaving, how can you protect children and the property? Over to you,
Yeah,
Caroline.
like okay. If you are like that misbehaving leads to divorce. I think Mukeleva has stated very clearly to say the law applies the thing. There is property sharing. Unfortunately, there are times where you'll be told to sell the property if both of you was put maybe 50-50 into that property. Sometimes you'll be told to sell the property and share equally, which also affects the children. So they will not consider the other person misbehaved, so we'll do this, and mostly it's the law will just do what they're supposed to do. That's unfortunate part. Anyway, yeah, it's just shared equally. You find that um, it will be it's either they are it is sold or they will share. If you have two houses, it will be shared equally. So that's about that question you asked. And in my conclusion is that um, divorce is death is something separate, something different from divorce. I think death is so clear after the death of the loved one. It's so clear. If there's a will, it will be shared according to the will. If there's no will, I think the law will just share the according to the percentages of the way it's supposed to be. When it comes to divorce, unfortunately, it really affects also the children when it comes to divorce because as I talked about earlier to say, it's like a death of plans, dreams you had together, and unfortunately, that also affects the children as well because they will be sharing of properties. The other person may go and marry, and maybe the children will not even benefit from that. Maybe you'll start a family. The other person also maybe uh, will be there with the children, so that so it's really something that divorce is something that really affects also the children when it comes to the after divorce. Yeah, yeah. There's so much in the divorce than the date. That's what I say.
Okay. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much for that submission. Evangelist, question over to you and your conclusion. Eh? Gross misconduct by a partner.
Yeah, this gross misconduct in most cases affects traditional marriages. Because traditional marriages, they will always say, you caused this, you caused this. Had you not done this, this marriage would have stood, but you caused it. So in most cases, if you are the causer, you are likely to lose in many areas. And then you depend on their faithfulness if they want to attend to you and help you. In most cases, under customary or traditional marriage, you are likely to, the causer is likely to lose. Now, especially again, if the causer is a woman, the woman is likely to lose. But if it is a man, customary, the law of the custom or customary law will still protect the husband. That is how unfair it is again, you know. Now, but it's under a statutory case, marriage, in most cases, they are not interested in the cause. They are interested in how you separate, who should get what and what. That is what they will do. But now, sometimes there are certain times when the judge, according to his judgment, if he sees that, you know, maybe the divorced person is not in the position to take care of herself, especially a lady. You know, you married her, you stayed for 20 years at your place, she left you home, her village there, or whatever home, she did not have a house because she spent all her energies in your home, and she can't build a house of her own. She has no field. The judge, in his good judgment, he may decide to say, well, you are going to maintain this lady until she remarries. So now, meaning that she may decide not to get married, and just to punish you. She may decide not to get married, and you are going to maintain her up to the time when she's going to die. You know, so it is not right to divorce. That's why divorce is not right, because it creates pain in the hearts of both, and it's difficult for anybody to heal. When you are divorced, in most cases, from time to time, the flashes of that divorce will appear on your face and in your heart. And sometimes you would think that even the next person will end up divorcing you or whatever it is. Sometimes you know, it's like somebody who has been raped in a violent way. You know, whoever, any man that she sees, she would think that everyone is a rapist. So divorce is something that should not be encouraged. Let's try by all means to resolve matters amicably and get back on the track, so that we live as husbands and wives. Now, when it comes to death, in the event of death, let's try by all means to make sure that we have got we write a will. We should not die intestate. That is without a will. Let's ensure that we prepare a will, or you can get a lawyer to write a will for you, or somebody else, but it must be done according to the law. It must be written in the way the law will recognize it as a will. So let's ensure that we don't die without a will. That way, we'll be protecting our children, our wives, or our husbands, or the people that we want to benefit. They are the ones that are going to benefit. If there's no will, the judges or the courts will decide to give the way they think, you know, this should be given. They will just say 20%, the surviving spouse, 20% parents, 50% children, 10% dependent. When actually, in fact, the children, the smaller children, who are supposed even to get 80% or 70%, but because you didn't consider your children to be important, you have left the decision to courts for them to decide for you. It is not right. It's not wisdom. Wisdom is prepare a will now, indicate what properties you have and where it is, and then from there, indicate the names of the beneficiaries. That way, your funeral will be a peaceful funeral. There will not be any fighting. Thank you so much. Till we meet again, God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Evangelist. Thank you very much, Caroline. Thank you, Om Kelevai, and each and everyone who's been part of tonight's broadcast. We thank you and we value your contributions, your comments. Our desire is to build strong homes, great families, so that our nation can blossom. Well, this has been NSAKA. We've been looking at matrimonial properties, divorce, and death. Please do get in touch with Evangelist if you need counseling. Evangelist line is just right there on this on the screen. 0977 527 407. That's 0977 527 407. If there's any situation you're going through, do not hesitate. A situation that is shared is halfway solved. We want to avoid all these cases of divorce, cases of suicide. Please, if there are situations you are going through, marital problems, reach out to a counselor, and we do have Evangelist available for such engagements. Well, it has been a lovely 1 hour 22 minutes. We have to call it a day, and we would like to encourage you to share and follow all our social media platforms, and do stay glued to NSAKA and Ubuntu channel. Well, from me, our director Emmanuel, Evangelist Caroline, Wom Kelewai, Abia, and each and everyone who's been part of this broadcast want to say thank you, good night, and God bless.